Prana is the energy at the basis of all creation. Everything that exists, animate and inanimate, is a manifestation of prana in one form or another. However, the prana within living beings is a special form of energy. It is the life force and is our most precious possession. It is our vital energy, our inner power and strength. The word prana can also be translated as breath and respiration, as well as spirit. At the subtlest and the most refined level, it is our spiritual essence. If our prana is low or imbalanced, we feel weak and become prone to illness. We are unable to use our mind and intellect fully. When our prana is strong, balanced, and in tune with nature, we are powerful, creative, capable beings, able to fuel and support our innate intelligence and intuition. Each one of us has a prana bank account. We are given a certain amount of prana at birth. During our life, we can squander our inheritance or we can build on it. If we squander it, we degenerate at an early age. If we build on it, we become more vital as we age and are better able to use the collective experience of our life for a good purpose. From a higher perspective, prana is the force we use to dive into higher consciousness. We need to learn about our prana, what it is, how to manage it, how to use it properly, and how to create more when we need it. The human body-mind must be kept balanced and within a certain range of function for true health and strength. It is so easy for the body-mind to be disturbed, for us to lose prana if we're not careful, especially during stressful or difficult times. In this CD, you will learn how to become more conscious of prana so that you're able to manipulate it for greater health, strength, and higher awareness. How can we describe prana? Prana is a very complex phenomenon, not just air or the breath or a simple energy. Its nature is highly changeable and is constantly moving. In Indian traditional medicine, prana is also called vata, which means wind. Vata is described as cold, dry, subtle, rough, and erratic. In Chinese medicine, prana is called qi and is described as being like a vapor that can suddenly appear and then disappear, and then undergo major alterations in the next moment. Prana is the essence of the principle of movement and change in the body, and has been compared to a current of electricity. Certain meditation practices are designed to allow us to perceive prana as sparks of light. When the body, or a part of the body, is full of healthy, balanced prana, it feels good. There is a sense of strength, and that part glows and tingles, and feels warm and nourished. Prana is the basis of this warm, glowing feeling. Life is pulsatory. Prana is constantly flowing and is also pulsating. For example, the heart and lungs pulse in a steady rhythm. Any contraction, whether it is muscular, mental, or emotional, can block the pulsation of prana, causing stagnation. Prana can also become imbalanced, for example, overstimulated or undercharged, or it can form toxins. When flow and pulsation are disturbed, prana cannot nourish and strengthen us. Rather, imbalance can create dysfunction and disease. You will learn how to work with areas of your body that may have become stuck, blocked, or toxic in order to re-establish balance and harmony and better health and well-being. The key to achieving this is to learn about the nature of prana, how to generate more of it and to store it, as well as how to properly utilize it. In studying prana, we need a systematic process that allows us to sense what prana feels like. As we develop this awareness, we can become more sensitive to the body's needs. When we're tuned to our prana, we intuitively know what makes us feel strong and healthy and what makes us weak and sick. Once we can feel our prana to some degree, we can learn how to consciously generate, store, and use prana wisely. Later on, we can begin to access prana directly from our spiritual essence. Prana is life force, and life feeds on life. The main function of prana is to maintain itself. That means to keep us alive. It seeks to extract prana from the world around us and to generate more prana within us. We take prana in from other life forms in the form of food and liquids, and from the air we breathe. The more alive and full of life force a substance is, the more life force we can extract. Also, the more prana there is in the air, the better we feel. For example, there is a lot of prana at higher altitudes in mountains. Generation of prana also occurs through stillness and deep rest. Sleep is meant to do this, but is not always efficient, especially if we go to bed exhausted or full of worries and tensions. Relaxation and meditation practices are the most efficient form of rest, allowing us to calm the mind and emotions and to deeply replenish ourselves with energy. The lying meditation called Yoga Nidra or the Pranic relaxation on this CD are excellent ways to restore and nourish ourselves when we're tired. All activity uses prana. This includes movement, speech, thought, and emotion. Certain activities use a lot of prana, for example, worry or emotional distress. Poor diet and lifestyle can damage prana. Therefore, we need to live a healthy lifestyle and to engage in practices that maintain our prana in a healthy state. It is also important to maintain mental and emotional balance so as not to waste prana. Loving experiences create prana. Negative emotions and depression deplete prana. Therefore, to reach our greater pranic potential, we need to fill ourselves with the best quality fuel at all levels of our being: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. We will now describe the pranic sheath, the pranamaya kosha. Prana means energy. Maya means composed of. Kosha means sheath. The pranamaya kosha is the sheath which is composed of the prana. Yogic physiology divides the human being into 5 bodies or sheaths with increasing levels of subtlety: the physical sheath, the pranic sheath, the mental sheath, the psychic sheath, which is also called the sheath of intelligence, and the most subtle is the causal spiritual sheath. The sheaths are not separate entities, but are different levels of function and subtlety of the one organism. You cannot separate them just as you cannot separate heat and light from fire. In the same way, we cannot separate prana, or the mind, from living, intelligent, conscious tissue. The pranic sheath is made up of energy. It has the same relationship to the gross physical sheath as does the air in a balloon. Air should keep the skin of a balloon tensed to a level where it's not too tight or too loose. When the air pressure is right, the balloon can float. If there is too much air in the balloon, it's overtensed and eventually will burst. If the balloon is underinflated, it is flaccid and floppy and cannot stay up. Prana has the same function in all the organs of the human body. It keeps us up and alive. The pranic sheath is composed of 5 sub-pranas. 4 of these govern the 4 main areas of the body: the pelvis, belly, chest, and head. The 5th sub-prana controls the other 4. Connecting the sub-pranas to each other is a network of subtle channels or currents of energy. These currents of energy are called nadis. Each division of the body is ruled by one of the elements of nature. For example, the belly is ruled by the water element. The pelvis is ruled by the earth element. And when prana enters an area of the body, it takes on the characteristics of the element related to that part of the body. For example, prana in the pelvis becomes the sub-prana associated with the earth element. Its characteristic is heavy and descending. The first sub-prana is also called prana. The sub-prana, prana, is seated in the chest and is associated with the fire element. Fire transforms food into energy. Prana also powers the breath and the heart. Prana at this level is the power of combustion, and it is the most fundamental and primary of the sub-pranas. Apana is the sub-prana seated in the pelvis and is associated with the earth element. Apana governs rejection and elimination. Seated in the lower part of the body, it acts on the whole body like a magnetic force, or like the force of gravity which pulls things downward. It then expels solid, liquid, and gaseous wastes from the body. Samana is the sub-prana seated in the upper belly and is associated with the water element. Samana both moves sideways and circulates around the navel. It digests and assimilates food and nutrients, and then impartially distributes these substances and energy produced by the food to all the organs via blood circulation. Udana is the sub-prana seated in the head and is associated with air. Udana means the breath which moves upwards. It is the force that enables each organ to act by itself, to possess an independent activity. Vyana is the sub-prana that is associated with the element of space, and therefore it is diffused throughout the body. Vyana is present everywhere and controls all the other divisions of prana. It causes the body to function as a complex organism whose different cells have different distinct attributes and yet can work together. It controls planning, specialization, and integration. In this CD, you will learn to place your awareness into the 4 main divisions of the body the pelvis, belly, chest, and head, so that you can begin to feel the different sub-pranas acting in this division of the body. You will also become aware of the actions of Vyana. You will then learn to manipulate each part in order to create a more balanced and harmonious internal state. The breath is one of the most important tools we have in order to manipulate and balance prana. We will now look at the nature of the breath and how it relates to prana. To gain awareness of prana, we need to connect to our own breath. Through observing, controlling, and directing the breath, we begin to control and direct our prana. There are two levels of the breath: the gross breath and the subtle breath. The subtle breath is the prana itself. The gross breath has three phases: inhalation, exhalation, and the pause or the space between the breaths. Inhalation and exhalation have completely different characteristics. Inhalation is an active process. Energy is required to contract the breathing muscles, the diaphragm and the ribs, in order to pull air into the lungs. Normal, relaxed exhalation is passive. No muscular contraction is required. Exhalation can be made more forceful by muscular contraction, for example, in coughing and sneezing. Exhalation can also be slowed through muscular control. The gross breath has two levels of control. The autonomic nervous system keeps the breath moving all the time, even when we're asleep. The voluntary nervous system allows us to override autonomic control so that we can speed up or slow down the breath anytime we want to. We cannot do this with other internal organs. For example, we cannot directly control the heart or blood pressure. However, in order to affect the heart and blood pressure, we can use the breath. The gross breath is a mirror of what is going on inside us. When we are tense, it is automatically rapid and irregular. When we're relaxed, it is automatically long, slow, and smooth. If we are tense and we consciously slow our breath, we can make ourselves feel more relaxed, and we will also relax other internal organs, such as the heart and blood pressure. The subtle breath is actually the prana itself and can only be understood by experience. Prana propels the gross breath. The gross breath and prana move in opposite directions. As we inhale, the gross breath takes air down into the lungs. At the same time, prana moves upwards. When we exhale, air moves up inside the body before it's expelled from the body, and at the same time, prana moves down. You will learn to observe this dual aspect of the breath on this CD and to use these two aspects of the breath to improve your health. The techniques on this CD are presented in a sequential manner so that you can explore prana systematically and safely. You will learn how to maintain prana in a healthy, balanced state. This will allow you to have plenty of energy for all the things you want to do with your life. You will learn how to remove the blockages and obstructions that cause fatigue and negativity. In this way, you can restore a healthy flow of energy. You will learn about the various levels of prana in the body and the relationship between prana and the breath. And eventually, the concepts of prana will become a living experience for you. The techniques help you to use the prana that would be normally dissipated in different daily activities, and to focus your prana and mind on the awakening of consciousness. In this way, you will learn to become aware of and tap into the subtlest and most sublime levels of prana that emanate from your core. This is a major life-affirming experience that leads to the gradual and beautiful unfoldment of self and all of the wonders within. The techniques on this CD will set the foundation for higher practices. Higher pranic practices can lead to profound spiritual experience as they very clearly touch the essence of being. Hari Om Tat Sat.